Jody is an experiential. This is a group seeking inner growth through direct experience. Experientials aren't in one place much. This is the try-anything-once crowd, and all that activity takes goods and services. Their hobbies are hands-on, and their possessions are simple, but not always simply priced.
They're a bunch of fucking yuppies, that's what they are. Planescape is based not on a fight between good and evil that most RPGs are. It's based on a quest for knowledge, and that makes things much more complicated. How do you know anything? How does the machine of your mind intake data? Through the senses. We know things because we touch them, see them, feel, smell, hear, and taste them. That's how we learn things. This input is how we know anything, according to the Sensates. We learn by experiencing things. If you deny yourself new experiences or don't actively seek them out at all times, who knows what you're going to be missing? You won't have the full picture in order to analyze the universe. There's an old parable about 6 blind men and an elephant. Each of them touches one part of the elephant and tries to describe what he sees. One man grabs the trunk and says it's a tree branch. One grabs the tail and says it's a rope. Another grabs a leg and says it's a pillar. But all of them are wrong. What the elephant is at all, they can't know. What the elephant is, they can't know without increasing their senses. The Sensates believe that the quickest path to enlightenment is by constant sensory experience of everything in the universe. The Sensates believe other factions are as foolish and incapable of knowledge as a blind man trying to see an elephant. Without being able to sense the universe and feel it in your body, you're not going to be able to know anything. The Society of Sensation, to give it their full name, is the most artistic of the factions. They love art, music, dance, theater, all of the artistic and entertainment expressions of humankind. Their base is called the Civic Fest Hall. It's one of the most dominating features in the landscape of Sigil and is one of the greatest storehouses of knowledge in all the planes. It has countless sensory experiences recorded in physical form in a place called the Sensorium, where people can relive all of the senses, feelings, and thoughts of someone in another life, so you can feel their senses going through your body. This is a very important part of the game Planescape Torment, and a big part of it is spent in the Sensorium, just drinking in all of the knowledge, all of the senses that these people had. Sensates are easily the most powerful faction in the city. Sigil tends to be a rather confusing, frightening, jumbled mess of a place. A city nicknamed the Cage can create tension, anger, and fear that might explode at any moment. The Sensates are uniquely capable, being natural entertainers, to exploit that desire for release and relaxation. They have a stake in the majority of pubs, bars, dance halls, and pretty much a stranglehold on all entertainment in the city. It may not seem much at first, but that's a significant act of power. It's not military force, but they are the ultimate in soft power. They're also very welcoming, inviting all races, classes, and alignments, or whatever plane they happen to be from. The only thing they need to join is 5 deep experiences that they have to record in the Sensorium. The enticing art, the lack of barriers to entry, the extroverted nature, playing on emotion, and general tolerance and openness for everything have led the Sensates to dominate Sigil and factional politics for many years. Boasting a 40,000-strong membership, natural articulacy forged by a performer's life, and desire to end conflict in favor of fun have brought the Sensates to exert enormous influence in running the city. The members of the Society of Sensation will attempt to imbibe all of the richness life has to offer, to push his senses to the absolute limit, to smell every rose in the multiverse, to taste every wine imaginable, to hear music that is only played in the astral plane, listen to a speech made by a pit fiend to his troopers in hell, to see everything there is to see and feel everything imaginable. It is impossible and pointless to try to experience every single thing in the entire universe. The Sensates know you can't logically do that. However, they do believe that depth and richness of experience can lead to unlocking some hidden truth about the galaxy. There's sort of a cosmic trick you can play on it, to learn the hidden dark, the hidden meaning of things, through the intense richness and vastness of your own experience. You can't experience everything, but the more you know, the more you'll be able to see the bigger picture of the universe. The Sensates are oft derided by other groups as being nothing more than pathetic hedonists who engage in constant orgies, drunkenness, and frivolous merriment in order to slake their debauched thirsts.
Surgery in an opera? How wonderfully decadent. And just as I was beginning to lose interest. Jambi, the chocolate icing. Oh, Oh, my, yes.
Libertines abound in the society, but they never really advance too far. That isn't the ultimate meaning of the Sensates. That's just a very ground-level, very base look at what the Sensates really do. In order to be a member of the Society of Sensation, you have to explore a vast range of feelings, emotions, and sensations. As they put in the book, it goes beyond what the gut or the loin can give. It's not just about the physical desires, it's about the uniqueness and depth and novelty of the experience and how much you can know about the multiverse. Sensates are a mixture of Epicureanism and ancient Greek theory about pleasure and knowledge being the ultimate good, along with empiricism, which promotes ideas based on what we can perceive rather than inherent ideas based solely on thought. Only things that exist in the real world rather than things purely concocted in the mind without input in reality. It ultimately isn't that complicated compared to some of the other factions, mostly because the Sensates are pretty much taken for granted today in modern life. This is one of the rare factions that is emulated by our society. Most everyone nowadays will tell you in the post-Reagan years that it's your ultimate goal in life is the self. To see everything, to see the world. You only live once. Experience life's joys. Drink this, visit here, go to see this place. That's pretty much what we hear, and that's what it means at its heart. It's the modern yuppie-ish world that we know today of trying to live life to the fullest. Self-actualization. Know yourself, be inner-directed, see for yourself, experience the world.
Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career. Choose a family. Choose a fucking big television. Choose washing machines, cars, compact disc players and electrical tin openers. Choose your future. Choose life.
Some of the positives of the Sensates is that they make natural adventurers. They're probably like bards in the sense that their lives are based on wandering around, seeing new things, engaging with new people, and knowing new things. They're pretty much at the heart of everything you want to do as an adventurer. You want to explore, to discover, to find new places, etc., etc. The whole Star Trek thing. There is never any need to coax a Sensate to do anything. They say in the book that sure is the common Sensate answer to any proposition. Do you want to do this? Absolutely. Do you want to see that? Definitely. They are people that really want to go out and see the world. That's why they make fantastic PCs. They're also very well traveled and know a heck of a lot about the universe. They can make some truly impressive lore checks about a lot of things. They also have a sort of semi-bardic knowledge, even if they're not a bard. They know the world and experience things and know so much and have so much info to share. And a sensate bard is a truly impressive thing to witness. As for negatives, the Sensates can occasionally be a bit too forward, a bit too exploratory, like overly inquisitive Kender, and can occasionally allow their feelings to overwhelm their reason, and can potentially get the party in trouble for that. You don't want to do absolutely everything, especially in a dangerous place around the plains. It may lead you or your friends into serious trouble. They are mostly based on their feelings rather than their thoughts. They can occasionally make irrational choices, and at least to me, the Sensates can be a little bit obnoxious, extremely pretentious, annoying us with art and music and life and the theater. But hey, that's just a minor prejudice on my part. Most people are going to get along with them just fine. They're extroverted, friendly, and fun. So unless you're not, like me, then you're going to be fine getting along with anyone. In fact, they can be very useful because they can get along with all different kinds of people you may need to extract information from. In relation to other factions, the Sensates are amazing peacemakers. They are not like the Order and Chaos factions that are constantly smashing into one another, and they take their role as trying to be neutral very seriously. They are not the most neutral faction, they're not the UN faction, and there is one like that. The Sensates do see themselves as peacemakers, trying to bring people together through art and music and entertainment, and that makes them generally liked by most people, or at the very least not hated. They're not going to get seriously involved in most factional warfare if they can help it. They stand against that sort of thing. They want people in Sigil to be relaxed, calm, fun, and enjoying themselves. And the other factions, even if they don't necessarily agree with the Sensates, they see the wisdom in keeping people in the cage calm down and releasing pressure, so they occasionally ease up and trying to kill one another. Some of the Order-based factions don't like the extreme sense of inner focus, or what the S training called inner direction back in the 70s that the Sensates have. They are frequently concerned with pleasure and themselves. They don't want to hurt others, but they don't want to help others either. So they could get into conflict with others based on that. Most of the time they are going to be in the middle as peacemakers. The establishment, They are the most powerful faction in the city, they know a lot, and they're going to try to keep people working together so they can continue with the things the way they are, the way they're going. They're not likely to join together in a group to try to hurt people, but they're also not likely to join together into a group to try to change things to help people. They want to focus on their inner life. That may be selfish ultimately, because a change could perhaps be necessary for things to get better. Most of the Sensates couldn't get along with a hard-edged interpretation of the Harmonium, Mercy Killers, Doomguard, or Anarchists. They couldn't get along with them because they would probably agree with the Beatles in the song Revolution. You say you want to quote Chairman Mao, but that's not going to get you laid anyhow. They are focused on their own personal desires rather than uniting with others to bring about a collective change to things. They try to keep everyone happy so everyone can move along with their lives and art without politicized conflict. The groups the Sensates would most likely be opposed to are the Bleak Cabal and the Dustmen. Both of these groups are very thought-oriented rather than feeling-oriented. The Bleakers spend most of their time in their heads, and the Dustmen reject the world as empty and meaningless, and believe that death is the ultimate goal. Most of those people do not, in the words of Trainspotting, choose life. They have rejected life for something else. Whether it's the personal demons banging around in their heads or the idea that death itself is a good thing, that's very much anathema to the Sensates, who believe life is worth living and worth squeezing out every last drop of enjoyment. Life is wonderful. We should experience everything those other two groups strongly reject. Life is wonderful, and we should experience everything. Those other two groups strongly reject that life has a real strong meaning or purpose behind it. Something I never mentioned before is the potentially dark, evil interpretation of the Sensates. The notion that Hellraiser and his Cenobites are explorers in the further realms of experience. That's a way of looking at the Cenobites as being a dark, cruel, vile force of total libertines, but not just that, but people that are willing to experience all of the dark, evil pleasures in the world, to harm themselves, to harm others, to get into some sort of bizarre, rapturous state of experience where they're always looking for other people to bring into their dark world. The Cenobites are perfect Planescape creatures. They're vile, evil, vaguely demonic, but unlike the later Hellraiser movies, they're not really demons. They're not evil, they're not good, they're just seekers of information. They're perfect for Planescape. And that is a way to interpret the Cenobites, to be an evil, vile, cruel, weird Cenobite who's obsessed with sadomasochism and violence. So the Sensates have an extraordinary amount of power because they control so much of relaxation. And that's an interesting way to power. To control not violence or anger or superstitiously guarding knowledge, but to control people through the ability to cause joy or laughter or happiness, rather than exerting dominance through fear and hatred, and that's very cool and unique. Ultimately, if I were to reject my Bleak Cabal nihilism and anger, I do have to mention that the Sensates are a truly exciting and great faction to play as. They are adventurous, extroverted, fun, they have all sorts of wonderful talents, and ultimately their faction is probably the most Planescape of all the factions. Because Planescape, I firmly believe, is based on knowledge and gathering information and wisdom, and learning rather than good fighting evil. That's what makes it unique. And the entire raison d'etre of the Sensates is to learn things, to know things, to get out into the world, to learn as much as they possibly can. So they really are a fantastic group to play as, even if I do have my suspicions that they're all just a bunch of filthy hedonists.